I do not think we're live yet.
Totally live. I'm live on my end.
We're live. Okay.
Yes.
Live and in color. Okay, awesome. I'm doing the thing with the hands. Woo! Okay, like with the words. Okay, Brandon Wyatt here today. Jen Soto. Jen is 23 years young. I am much senior to that and will be 41 at the end of this month. So I'm an old dude, but Jen, I met you through a group that spends a lot of time on lead generation, and I know your kind of story is you're going to school right now currently to studying to be a nurse, and you're looking to really get out of that and full-time, doing some things. Today, I wanted to we talked a little bit before this, how are we going to have some value, give some value to some people that are watching this today. And prior to going live, we kind of talked about, there's a lot that's going to happen before the end of the year. And although today is the 22nd, everybody believes that, it's the end of the year and that, hey, January is right around the corner. I'm going to lose weight, get in shape, all of those things that everybody talks about. That are so important. But today I just kind of want to talk about getting that game plan so you can go live really in the very, very beginning of next year and have a game plan. And so I just kind of want to talk to you about what your game plan was, and just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing, and kind of specifically what your game plan is for 2017 and making it. What are you going to do between now and the beginning of the next year so you can kind of get a competitive edge and get your head wrapped around your game plan?
Well, all right. Well, thank you for that introduction, Brandon. My name is Jen Soto. I'm from the East Coast over here in Connecticut. I'm in nursing school. And yeah, so my game plan for 2017, right now I'm just reaching out to small business owners, giving them some strategies. I'm doing a lot of lead gen sites, especially for groups of people. So, for instance, if you're in a certain niche that I know is, what we call low-hanging fruit or accessible, where I know that this is a field where a lot of people are struggling to kind of get leads, get customers. I've been doing a lot. I'm focusing on those people and spreading the word that, there's more opportunity. And I know right now, I'm doing like tree service and landscaping, and in December in Connecticut, it's cold and snowing, and people are like, well, why are you reaching out to those people? Well, I think that before the new year, it's really important that we as a business owner, you need to be prepared for that time. You don't want to try to struggle to get leads during the season. You should be already prepared for the season. You know
That's
what I'm
true.
saying? So I'm reaching out to those business owners and hoping that they find time to invest in me and show them how worthy I am, that I can get them leads and focus them in the right direction to get their business really taken off, so that when the season comes, they have the website, they have social media marketing all set, they have their citations all set, and they're ready to take off and make money. That's the plan.
You're talking about digging a well before you're thirsty, and that is something that's really foreign to a lot of people. In lead generation, I think that, to talk about lead generation, it's all about what we call pipelining. You want to make sure that you've got your next, 2-3 months planned out. It's not just the job that you're working on today. It's what we're talking about right now, feathering the nest, making sure that we're going to be successful in January. And you bring up a great point. I know something about landscaping and have spent some time, developing some landscaping sites myself as well, and understand a little bit about that particular industry. And one of the things specifically that you touch on that I think is so true just about business in general, a lot of your friends you had kind of mentioned a bit that, well, why are you doing that? It's December and we're in a place that gets a lot of cold weather. Well, again, to the layman, that seems very true. And that seems like, people aren't doing things with trees. Well, what I do know about certain trees is that the only time that they can actually get out there and cut that wood out is during the winter, because when the humidity is not as high, they're not as susceptible to diseases. So the best time to cut some of those trees is actually in the dead of winter. And I've talked to guys in my area here back in the Midwest, Northwest Illinois. these guys are incredibly busy during the wintertime. So I think it speaks to your point of understanding something important. And I think there's like really two key important things. One, you've got to ramp up for whatever you're going to do. You've got to, I mean, like McDonald's, when we talk about fast food, that's who we think about. And the reason that we do is because it's not because they spend less money. It's because they're on the top of our mind, even though they're out there in a lot of different ways. But what you're talking about is you're talking about two things. One, ramping up so you can be ready when the time is relevant. But one of the things that I found just in general in business is I think that our own biases keep us from thinking through some of these problems that keep us from creating better wealth for us and better opportunities, because we think, oh, you know, I'm not getting out there and cutting a tree in the wintertime. Well, there's a reason why. They don't want to lose the whole tree. So in order to prune it off in the area that's diseased, it's the only thing that really stops that and cauterizes it. I'm sure that's a word that you're probably pretty familiar with being in the nursing industry, but there's some fundamental DNA to that that's true in the universe, you know? And so I think it just ties into business as well. Don't let your own mind of what you think, your own prejudices towards whatever that may be, limit you from thinking through the entire process and opportunity. So no, you mentioned that's beautiful. No, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, as far as like, how do you stay on task? I mean, look, you're like, let's talk about your schedule, because you've got to be an incredibly busy person. If there's anybody else that's watching this out there, I've got to tell you honestly, if I don't have my, you know, and I'm going to show you, you know, my constantly evolving list of things that happens to be one thing to the next, and on a day's time, it just turns into something else. But like you're 23, you know, tell us about how you're balancing your life with everything and your goals. I mean, how do you actually, you know, do a job, do school, do all of those things, and still be able to help be focused on what's going to get you out of those things that you have to do on a daily basis? What's that process look like for you?
It's a lot of time management, Brandon, a lot of time management. So to those who are watching and, you know, they have busy schedules, I feel like anyone can really do this. But for what I do, I try to keep my schedule, like I write everything down like you do. I do what I do for school, you know, so I do 2 hours a day at least of studying for school, making sure that that's okay. And I do like another 2 to 3 hours of, you know, running what I do here, and you know, getting the word out there, making lead gen sites. And you know, you usually don't finish in 2 to 3 hours, but as long as you're working on something every single day, even if it's like for 15 minutes, that's really my goal. And then as far as working goes, I just change my schedule and I work around it. But there's so many hours in a day. It feels like there's not enough hours in a day, but if you try to get at least 8 hours of sleep, you use the rest of your time to work and then manage your 2 hours here, 2 hours there. You know, they say people watch TV at least six hours a day. During those 6 hours a day, you could be, you know, working on yourself, working on school, or whatever you have going on. So it's possible. It's definitely possible. I don't watch TV.
It's a giant waste of time as far as I'm concerned too. I completely agree with you. You know, I mean, I think my wife would actually vouch for the fact of what I actually watch when I do watch TV, and I'm a giant nerd. Yeah, I'm watching documentaries or something like that. So, I mean, I'm not trying to say that to sound like an elitist or somebody that, oh, I don't watch TV or whatever. I just personally, I have a lot of other things that I would really rather do. And I just mean that in like the most sincere way.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're stuck in a spot right now and, you know, you feel like you can't move forward, you know, if you're not making moves, you're staying in the same place. So if you're the type of person that really wants to get ahead in life and you want to do something with yourself, you got to do little things here and there. You know, it doesn't have to be consistent, but 2-3 hours a day working on yourself, personal development, anything, that's moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great point. And, you know, the one thing I was, to your point, just thinking about making some of those small commitments to every day, like, hey, I'm going to get this one thing done today, no matter what, you know, a heck or high water comes, man, that's going to get done no matter what. And staying committed to yourself and getting out, because like sometimes I always say this, it's like you get trapped in the weeds, you know what I mean? You can't get above the weeds. And these are the only things, like doing massive action, and not being afraid to fail. Yeah, I talk about this all the time. It's like, you know, what Thomas Edison, he said that he was credited for saying that he found 5,000 ways for a light bulb not to work. And I'm thinking, okay, we look at this man as an absolute genius in our society. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, then why am I afraid to fail, man? Why am I afraid to get out there and fail? If we're looking at this guy like this, and looking at him and saying, like, this guy truly is a genius. And this guy admitted to saying, hey, I found 5,000 ways not to do something, and we think he's a genius. Well, like, why should I be afraid to fail? The problem is that I think that we're not afraid to fail enough. And I think that that's the problem. I think Thomas Edison failing 5,000 times is just like a classic example of pure and sure determination. Really, on the logic itself, somebody, if they took 5,000 times to do something, and I'm sure maybe he didn't take them. Maybe he did, I don't know. But he's an idiot. So, like, look, the only difference between us is that we gave up. If we give up, it's over with. You know what I mean? That's the difference between the guy that's considered a genius that just never gave up, and at the 4,999th time, he said, I'm going to give it one more shot. But you know what? He was determined whether or not at 5,000, he was going to go to 5,000, 0001 and figure it out. But it's sure and raw determination. And I've failed so many times. History is full of absolute failures that become successes. Abraham Lincoln, look, guy couldn't win, county dog catcher, and becomes arguably one of our greatest presidents, recognized as one of our greatest presidents. So it's
he failed 8 elections. He went into 8 elections and he didn't win any of them. Michael Jordan was kicked off the basketball team when he was in high school. So it's like, or middle school, or whichever it was. So failure is success. I'm happy to fail. I'm like excited. It's disappointing, but it's like, okay, this is my other opportunity. Like, let's go ham the next time,
Yeah, no, you're right. And I can't wait to, some of the things I know that we were talking about, we're going to talk offline about it. I know anybody that wants, anybody that sees this video wants to find out a little bit more about kind of some of the things that we're working on. You're free to hit us up here through either Facebook or, through right here at YouTube. But, some of the things that we're going to work on, I've been really checking out this book, and I think I've told you a little bit about this too. It's Guerrilla Publicity. I know it's all backwards right there in Yankee, but Guerrilla Publicity, I'll put it in the notes down below here. And, some of the things that we're going to start working on in 2017 that I told you about, it's just, from a marketer standpoint, we've got to be creative. We've got to be where our audience is at. And, these Facebook, places like that, these are all going to be tactics that we're going to use, and we're going to get into. We're going to do some paid advertising. And then some of it, again, the guerrilla part of it is going to be a lot of bang for your buck, but without doing really any paid advertising other than like some real organic stuff. And I really played around in this in the last 4 months and had a lot of success with it. And really, as a force multiplier, I can't wait to kind of, work with you on that as well and share some of these ideas with you as well to, you mentioned low-hanging fruit. This is about the lowest rung on that ladder to grab that lowest hanging fruit, but it's something that a lot of people really neglect. And I can't wait to play in some of those spaces and just move forward with some of that stuff. But, massive action, that's the only thing that really wins the day. And I'm really pumped about, just getting into 2017 and working on some of these things and sharing some of my stories and you listening to some of your stories, and it's going to be great. I can't wait. Just trying to think, what do you think is your biggest challenge, I guess, to your success in 2017? I know a lot of people here. I know a lot of people are really goal oriented. I'm sure some of the people that could be watching this too are very goal oriented. Have you thought about kind of giving your own self a kind of a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to your success, going into the early part of next year?
Oh, wow. You know what? I actually haven't really thought about it. I'm the type of person, I tend to have just a plan A, and I have plan B, C, D, but I really focus on my plan A. So I don't try to focus on like what else problems I can occur and, things like that. I just try to stay focused on the goal, because anything could distract you, right? But if you're just focused on it, you don't have to worry about plan A, B, C, and D, because plan A is number one. So yeah, I haven't really thought about it.
And that's the reason I brought that up, is because I have to believe that anybody else that's watching this right now, maybe they have, you're very intelligent, you're completely reasonable in the way that you think too. And maybe not to think through some of those things. I always tell my kids, know what you're going to do before you do it. And, being an ex-military type guy, that's just kind of how a lot of us guys were kind of trained and seeded in our growth early on to think that way. And it alludes to that plan, B and C that you're talking about. And although I'm very focused on plan A, and again, this could be speaking to anybody that's out there right now, because I mean, you're 23, I'm going to be 41. We're at a different place in life with levels of responsibility to the people around us, I think, as well. And so I would have to believe, this is again why I believe the value of having someone like yourself, that's 23, and then having someone like myself that's at a completely different place in life as far as age-wise goes. And let's face it, I mean, there is those differences. And so I'm sure somebody's going to relate completely with your situation. And I mean, not that this is necessarily true, but like if you wanted to spend time, like what would be one of your threats to success? Well, I can't tell you what yours would be, but I can definitely tell you what mine would be. And, as a father of 3 kids, and one of them's in high school, and I got one in junior high, and one still in grammar school, is you're pushed into this place of being a taxi driver sometimes, or kind of always being the catch-all. When you work from home and have that level of flexibility, that can actually really be a threat to your success sometimes. And like a ninja warrior, you've kind of like got to guard your time. And I think some people can have a real confusion for that. I have to believe that there's going to be other people out there in my position that are either, it doesn't even have to be close to my age. I mean, anybody can have kids. There's people, I work with somebody that's 20 years old and has a child, and so they have those real issues as well. But for me, I think it's just going to be making sure that like the only way that I'm really going to be super successful is blocking out those early times to do some of this administrative stuff that's, crossing those T's and dotting those I's. It's enormously important to your success. The older I get, the more I really learn. It's the stuff that people aren't willing to do is the stuff that you need to focus on. It's the people that aren't really willing to open up their mind to the full picture. It's just like what we talked about at the very beginning when we were talking about these trees. The common belief would be that, tree trimming in an area that has a lot of cold weather would kind of go away. When the fact is that is just not the truth. And so again, our own personal biases and our own issues in life a lot of times do get into the way of success that we're going to have. And so for me, I have to be an absolute warrior of my time. And no matter how rich or how poor you are, we all have the same 24 hours. So for me, that's my case. And again, it's not that I have to have a plan B and a C, but I just have to be very aware of those speed bumps in my life. And I don't mean it that could sound really bad saying speed bumps when I just mentioned family. That those things are not speed bumps, but speed bumps in the success, meaning that the momentum that I need to get something done in a particular block of time could be impeded greatly if I don't manage, my own personal threat to that success in a way. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense.
Cool. So I know I've been kind of leading the conversation, and I know I asked you in here today, what questions, I want to open it up too, Jen. I know, I've been leading some of these conversations, but do you have any questions for me, or is there anything that you wanted to talk about, or anything particular you were thinking about today that you wanted to kind of get across to some people?
Well, if I had a question for you, I'd say, you've been doing this for a really long time. I know you've really helped a lot of people and made a lot of great deals to change people's lives. I was wondering, what are some strategies that you give people? I know we talked about like pros and cons, but do you have like a specific strategy yourself as to like what you do to, help people, get people to that point of success per se?
Like specifically like somebody that's in lead generation looking to grow their business, or like
Yeah.
what kind of?
Yeah, it's like lead gen trying to grow their business.
Yeah, so like what I've learned in the period of time that I have been in this now for a little over a year and 4 months, really hardcore, like in lead generation, doing it for that much time, which by the way is like really, it feels like dog years. You're either going to do this and be self-employed at home, or you're going to be doing something different with your time. And I think the answer to that is like I'll use you as a classic example of somebody that's a little bit more junior to myself in this business. I knew where I was at your point, kind of. I know that we've had, other people that are watching this don't have the advantage to understand, to know that we've had multiple conversations prior to this. And so kind of understanding your background a little bit more to answer that, to use you kind of as an example. What I truly do believe about lead generation is lead generation has a longer trajectory of success than some of the other tactics that are out there. These are some of the ones that I kind of alluded to earlier, some of these guerrilla tactics, some of these non-paid opportunities and stuff. So I think more importantly, I think as far as coaching goes, those types of things, I think the biggest thing that I try to focus on is just sharing what like success that I've had, and trying to be conscious of other people's budgets. Because I mean, I got to tell you, whether you decide to run Facebook ads or Google ads or whatever, you can spend literally thousands and thousands of dollars making mistakes, and wasting your money, versus what I'm a huge advocate of is get out there in front of your audience. Start creating a track record. And it gets back to what I was talking about, specifically with you, some of the things that we're going to work on here very shortly. And I mean, in the next coming days, is get out there and don't rely on social media, Facebook paid ads to tell you what your customers like. Start creating that digital footprint on your Facebook pages so you can kind of see what your audiences are responding to. That way, when you have some real data, you have some real, and I mean, I'm talking like, what I mean by this is this, look, it doesn't have to be a 6 or 8 month term for these lead generation sites to pay off. It doesn't even have to be 3 months. I know some people, sometimes we've been coached, hey, give them the traffic for free for a month or whatever. But the truth is, by the time you're starting to gain that traffic, you might have been in this thing for 3 or 4 months already. By the time you've, cited it correctly, by the time you're Google verified, by the time you're doing everything that you got to do to bake that bread, you might be still not turning $1 by following that model. So what I would say is this, is get busy, get in Facebook and find out what your audiences are responding to, specifically ad copy. How do you gain somebody's attention, and how do you become someone of a point of interest that they'll actually watch something? Once you've gained those things, you're going to find out what they like. You're going to look at the actual real empirical data that's going to show you you've had 30 shares on this one little piece of ad copy. So you know that you're honing in on your target. And then I just say, hey, look, once you've got that training and once you know what your customers are responding to, then you throw Facebook dollars at it. Because then this is the thing. You know that if 20 people are sharing it and responding it to you, you know that there's going to be 200 people if you throw enough ad dollars at it, which ultimately, and I know that you have to talk to that many people. There's going to be a conversion, which is more importantly a sale. So, you might have to talk to 200 people to get one sale, but it's all proportionate to what size that sale is. If it's a roof, it's going to be several $1,000s. And so what's $50 to potentially earn 10 grand?
Right.
So
exactly.
I think that's the biggest thing. I think I'm trying to coach people to just try to get out there and make a lot of those mistakes. And I don't even really call them mistakes because it's a learning experience. Because anybody can do lead generation, but not everybody can do good copy or be different in order to get that little bite on that hook to start that conversation. And that's what we do. We're conversation starters. That's what we are. So
exactly. Yeah. Nicely said. Exactly.
Thank you. Well, listen, I know I should probably get wrapping things up on this live broadcast, but thanks for anybody that's watching this kind of post broadcast. And Jen, thanks. I know again, to all those people that are watching this broadcast right now, this is like several, I don't know how many, we've had several conversations prior to this. And Jen, you're talented and you're going to go somewhere with like the motivation that you have. And, I guess to wrap everything up, really 2017, go in with your list of what you need to get done. And what I'm doing right now is I'm looking and creating quarterly milestones. Specifically financial milestones of things that I want to be at, so I know how to stay on track each week. I want to say I want to make X amount of dollars. By the end of the month, I want to have Y, and by that 3 months, so January, February, March, by the end of March, this is where I want to be. So it's going to help me divide my year quarterly and my earnings quarterly, so I can stay on track. Look, if you don't have numbers written down, you're never going to attain anything. There's so much evidence that ties into the most 7, successful habits of the, people that are the most successful out there follow these basic 7 habits. And one of those happens to be, writing down your goals. And that happens to be like a fundamental truth of anything. I think it's really simple. I think it's because you're focused on them. I don't think there's anything really magic about it. I just think it's like, I got my list. I got to go get the laundry done. I got to go get that. And it's just checking the box. It's just, again, top of mind, right? Fast food, McDonald's. It's what we think about. And I think that is really the mindset that I'm really, really, really pushing into. And then I know if somebody joins us on this next, I know next time when we come back here, we're going to be talking about, how those efforts, how to create a bottom to that bucket. So again, we're going to go out there and do some massive, huge action. We're going to be out there talking to a lot of people, getting in front of a lot of people, but then it's the follow-up that's absolutely the most important piece of that bucket. And you're creating a bucket without a bottom to that bucket, and that's that email campaign that we're going to talk about a little bit later. So creating some great email campaign marketing that we can remarket these people that we go back out to is going to be massive. Again, buyers today are not going to be, some of the people that are potential buyers today are going to have things that happen in their life, and there's going to be reasons why they're not going to be a buyer today, but then there's going to be a reason why they're going to be a buyer in the second quarter of 2017. And so we need to make sure that whatever massive action that we're doing out there, we're capturing that in our bucket that has a bottom to it, and then we can take that bucket and pour that sucker right into the next opportunity and keep being top of mind and for social media, for lead generation and everything else. So I'm looking forward to working with you on that. That's something that I am really stoked about. I think with your push through and follow through, I think together that could be huge for us in 2017. So
yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to the next year to come. I know there's a lot that's going to happen, and we just got to keep making moves, and hopefully our viewers are listening and are, trying to do the same or looking for other opportunities. So I'm looking forward to it.
Right on. Well, you hold down the East Coast. I got the Midwest. I got it covered. I got all of it in here in the Midwest. Got it taken care of.
It's all good down here too. It's real good over here.
I got to keep heading west. We got to find some. I've got a few partners in Texas and other places too. But if there's anybody that's kind of been compelled to respond to this today or watching this post live production, reach out at us here through our YouTube live account. We'll post some of our Facebook stuff on there as well. You can reach out to us through that. Give us a share and a like on this, and give us a thumbs up, guys, if you're watching this. And if you need some help, Jen and I are here to answer any questions. And again, Jen, I just want to thank you for coming on live to our show today, and we'll catch up and we'll talk soon.
Talk to you soon, Brandon. Thank you.
Yeah, you take care.